feel cheesy, but I feel like we need better intros.
Da-na-na-na.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. Plantar fasciitis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Planters?
Plantars. What?
Plantar.
Plantar. Is no S?
No S.
Okay. Plantar fasciitis.
That's what trying to be
flat
funny.
feet, high arches, supinated, overpronated. Today we're going to talk all about feet. When it comes to running, most of us are getting ready for our HYROX races. These guys are going to be running their race in 2 weeks.
Next week.
Next week. So one thing we thought that would be interesting to talk about is running volume and what that might be doing to your feet or etc. How are you guys feeling as HYROX gets closer? Have you adjusted to your running volume? Have you amped it up?
I mean, I've been getting in at least 2 days of just running in addition to our workouts.
What
Definitely
does it look like?
nowhere near enough. It's just been mostly like zone 2, like just trying to get mileage anywhere
feet.
from like 40 to 60 minutes per session.
What is zone 2? Is that where you're able to talk while running?
Yeah,
or?
so it's like more conversational pace.
Okay.
So everyone, their zone 2 is going to be different because it's based on your max heart rate, so it's a certain percentage of that. So my zone 2 could be very different from your zone 2, which then leads to my pace could be different from your pace from somebody else's pace.
Right. So easy long runs.
Easy longer runs.
What about you?
Yeah, I have not been doing that. Yeah, but we ran a lot yesterday. I felt decent yesterday, but for me, it's kind of day to day. Some days I feel really good, some days I don't. So I don't know what that means. I guess I should be running more, right?
Might be your nutrition.
What doesn't
Yeah,
feel
I
good?
think so.
Like physically?
Just like
or
cardio. Just
Okay.
feel like I'm dying one day, and then
Yeah.
on a good day, I feel like I can go for like another hour.
Yeah, maybe you want to track what you're eating beforehand.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you got those fancy sneakers now.
Which ones? Oh yeah, the Pumas. Yeah.
The Pumas.
Yeah.
The Puma
DV8s.
The carbon. The
Yeah.
carbon plate.
It's like-
DV8 Nitros.
Yeah, every single HYROX athlete has the Puma DV8. It's
Yeah.
like the most popular one.
Good grip, carbon fiber plate, and the only thing is that it might be a little narrow. Does
It's
it feel
narrow.
narrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine are definitely narrow.
Oh, you got the tiers.
No, I got the on clouds.
Oh, so you're not doing tier?
No, they didn't have my size.
Oh, okay. So the thing with the shoes is that you have to make sure that when you're pushing the sled, they don't fall off.
Because they're so stiff.
Yeah.
Because like running shoes generally don't have a lot of grip. Have you guys tried that yet?
Mine has a good
No.
grip.
They're worn by a good amount of HYROXers as well.
Okay.
So it's one of the recommended shoes that I saw.
For grip, yeah.
They should try like tying the shoelaces.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do a
No,
lace
you
lock.
gotta do the heel lock.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, heel lock.
I learned that now that I'm running more.
I used to do that for tennis.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
did
because
that
my heels
once.
kept slipping out.
Did you get any shoes?
No, not yet.
How are your feet
I
feeling?
don't think I'm gonna get anything for DC. Maybe New York City.
Okay, so
Maybe.
he's gonna be on
Yeah.
plates. You're not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the shoes are going to make a big difference in my running, at least not for DC, because I haven't really built up that much of a base for it to really matter. I think for New York City, once we're able to get more running in, especially outdoor running, I think it's going to make more of a difference. But this one, I just kind of want to see how they feel on my feet, especially after an hour plus of working out in them. I've only done one long run and then a workout yesterday in them, and definitely not something that I'm used to in terms of the amount of instability that they have on certain exercises.
And wall balls. I remember
Wall
saying.
balls, yeah,
You
wall balls, and I feel like
wobbly,
yeah,
even more so.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then I'm sure lunges are going to feel a little weird too.
Yes. But it'll propel you forward.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with wall balls, is that I kept ending up with my
Yes.
toes.
Yeah.
But it's just we're going for fun.
Yeah. He looked more like wobble ball yesterday, looked like me. Usually
was
you look
bad.
like wall
Because
balls.
of the running shoes.
Yeah,
Running
we were,
shoes, and we just had the ball that we had was really
Wobble.
wobbly.
We had a really
Yeah.
bad workout yesterday. We were both just hobbling. We just barely got through the
We're
workout.
peaking, baby.
Yeah. Wait, are you gonna do like one last big workout and then maybe taper? Gio says he's just gonna go hard all the way through. Like,
It's youth, man.
Must be nice to be young.
Yeah.
Should we take it, right?
are you gonna do one more like?
He does,
hard-
like, what, programming? I don't need
tomorrow, is it gonna
programming.
be a very hard workout?
I think tomorrow we're gonna go hard,
Right?
Tomorrow we'll go hard. Tomorrow we'll do
then-
Maven style though. Yeah.
Okay.
And then probably just lighter.
throughout the week to stay
Yeah.
fresh.
Really? Lighter?
Okay. And then fueling. Do you guys have any, like, I don't see anyone drinking water or anything during the
Yikes.
race. And like some
No,
of
not
them,
if you're going for time.
I know, right? So they're
Yeah.
going for like an hour. Sorry, we're supposed to talk about feet. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's only an hour, so I don't think, and it's most of the events are indoors, and usually it's nice and cool. So I would say, hydration and nutrition may not be as big of a factor.
More so
yeah.
beforehand.
Like the
Yeah.
day before.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so back to running and feet. What are some of the most common running injuries you see in the clinic?
I would say patellar tendonitis or some sort of tendinopathy, Achilles tendonitis.
Quick question, what's the difference between tendonitis and tendinopathy?
So tendinopathy is just something going on with the tendon. So it's an overall, just kind of broad term for an injury to the tendon. Tendonitis is your more acute or more recent injury. So there's usually more inflammation associated with it or swelling. And then tendinosis is more that long term. So at like 3 months or more, then it's classified as a tendinosis. So two different types of injuries which come from the same thing, but tendinopathy is just kind of the general term for something going on with the tendon.
I see. And is it like the tendonitis happens first before it becomes a tendinopathy?
No, tendinopathy is the overarching term for
Got it.
a tendon injury.
I see, okay.
It's like pathology. So it's like anything wrong
Yeah, it's a
with the tendon.
pathology
Yeah.
of the tendon.
It's like bio class.
Prefix, suffix.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said patellar tendonitis?
Yeah, patellar tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis. What else do you think we see a lot of?
How about quad tendonitis?
Yeah, not as common, but
that's not.
Hamstring.
Yeah, I would say shin splint
Shin
for running.
splints,
Yeah.
yes.
Maybe Achilles
Yes.
tendinopathies. I would say those are. That covers it.
yeah,
So-
probably big three.
Plantar? No plantar fascia.
Plantar fasciitis.
Plantaris.
I don't know. I would say.
I'd say not
it's
as common in
yeah,
running.
it's- Yeah.
It's more just kind of like general pop.
Yeah, plantar fasciitis, I'd say, is more common in, I would say, more the inactive population. Yeah.
I see, interesting. So for the layperson, then it's like, oh, my knee hurts. Oh, my ankle feels sore. Oh, what else is there? Like the Achilles,
Shin splints.
shin splints. Oh, my shins.
So yeah, those
I'm-
are like the repetitive overuse type of injuries. Yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything that people can do to avoid progressing in that direction if they feel like, oh, my shins are a little sore, like, or my knee is feeling a little tweaky. Should I just stop running altogether, or what should I do?
It depends.
Yeah, it depends on how far along it is.
Always.
But definitely, I would say look at your training volume first of all, especially if you're somebody who's maybe like a new runner or new to fitness. You might have just dove into too much too quickly. And another thing is, look at your overall training program in terms of, are you just doing running? Are you supplementing that with other things like lifting? So that you're not getting into that state of overuse.
Right.
Just repetitive motions over and over and over again.
And then repetitive motion, potentially with bad form,
Correct.
right? So you're putting in a lot of reps of doing things the wrong way,
Yeah.
possibly.
But what's also interesting is I think it depends on the person, because you'll meet people that do high volume every day craziness. There's definitely, like, if you look at it objectively, they're overtraining, but they're nothing wrong with their body. And then there's other people that barely are training. They're not that consistent or even consistent, but it's not high volume. But then they develop issues, and it's not, it's not. You got to think every single person. You got to kind of look at individually when it comes to that stuff, and what will benefit them, what won't, But overall, I'd say, like overuse, definitely recipe for injuries, as well as maybe not recovering enough, tied to overuse. But yeah, you got to recover. Yeah, overall.
So looking at your training volume, maybe not recovering adequately. So I think me kind of getting into running because of HYROX, I saw that there's a 10% rule. Have you heard of that? Like, you shouldn't increase your mileage by more than 10% a week if you're new to running.
I think that's smart. But what I was going to also say is I think the inconsistent training could also result in
Yes.
injuries. So if you're not training enough too, yeah, but you're like suddenly doing more and that kind of stuff.
I see.
Yeah, like you have a run in 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you start to go out for like a 8-mile run.
Yeah.
Like it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
I'd say that is maybe even more common to develop pathologies to the tendon than maybe even the overuse. It's just like all of a sudden doing high volume. Yeah.
I did hear that easy long runs, when you're in that zone 2, it helps you to develop the adaptation for running without the risk of injury
Yeah.
because you're easing into it and you're just kind of like getting your body and your feet used to that repetitive motion.
Yeah, you're adapting to the stimulus at a very much lower intensity than you would on race day.
Yeah, there's a fine line between injury and adaptation where, it's improvements.
Because you call adaptation growth spurts.
Well, no, when I say growth spurts, that's when like I put myself through something maybe out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And then mentally
Okay,
you have
it's
a growth spurt. Your
not a
tolerance
physical?
goes up. Yeah, I'd say it's more of your tolerance to discomfort.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very tailored Maven terminology. That was
Yeah.
a growth spurt workout.
I'm getting a little older, getting a little softer. Yeah.
So let's move on. Okay, so one thing that we hear a lot about is flat feet, right? And you say that flat feet are villainized, right? So can we first define what is flat feet, right? And why are they villainized?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you could define it. Again, this is the same thing where like you got to look at the whole picture, the whole body. And I think that we just generalize. Anybody, who's been to a podiatrist, maybe even physical therapist, chiro, or whatever, even doctors, they'll tell you especially during the 2000s and the 90s, like everyone would prescribe orthotics for flat feet because it was looked at as something dysfunctional. But I think what we have to come to realize and we accept is that it's not. A lot of times flat feet is very normal for that person, and you gotta look at it that way. And even same thing as like posture. People, think just everybody should be like, like this, but it's just not. You got to look at the whole body. You got to look at their body, not only the dimensions, but their body type, and just see what they do and what they're designed to do. And I think it's just feet are the same thing. You got to look at every person, and just because you have flat feet, it does not mean it's a dysfunction. Yeah.
Well, what was it that led them to believe that it's a dysfunction?
Healthcare professionals probably. But I think, and I hate to call out a lot of maybe the podiatrists back in the 90s and 2000s, but I think that it was a very good opportunity to make money during those decades where, you fit somebody for an orthotic and it's an automatic $500 to $1,000, and then you got to almost replace it every year, every 2 years. And you got to get one for all different shoes. It was a very good, very lucrative.
$500
Yeah.
for orthotics?
At least
Are they the same as insoles?
They're more custom.
customized,
Yeah.
so they like
So
mold your foot.
Okay, so I went to a running store, and they had me run on a
The treadmill,
treadmill,
yeah.
and then they had me stand on a thing, and
And
then
then $70 insoles, right?
No, it was 120.
Oh, it went
they
up.
totally upsold me. And so
Yeah.
I was like, sure, there's a 90-day return policy. I'll try it. I tried it, and I was like, no, I hate these. Like, it was just too stiff. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like it was more painful than anything else. So I was just like,
So I used to have a referral relationship with one of the sneaker stores around here, and they used to send me little prescription pads to write what I like. But then what they kept doing was pushing these orthotics that weren't even custom or whatever. They were just insoles.
Yes.
And they would charge about 50 to, I didn't know, 100, but about $70 per. And so what I would tell my patients is say no to them. And what I found out was that they heard that I was telling them to say
and they
no.
said no.
they didn't like that. And so, but I think it's just, again, I think insoles and orthotics are a very good opportunity to make money. And so it's going to be pushed. But if you get a good sneaker that's relatively fitting for you and your activity, then you really shouldn't need any special insoles or orthotics. Yeah.
I feel like I know what you're going to say, but what is a great sneaker?
It's all
It depends.
tense. Yeah.
Wait, like, what should someone be thinking about when they're purchasing a sneaker?
I think it has to be supportive of your, just like structurally and your activity, but also your inherent structure. It has to be supportive of that. I think if you're not doing that, then it's gonna it may work against you. It may not, but it may work against you.
What about giving the toes space? I hear a lot about people
So
saying
it's kind of a
wide
trend
toe
right now.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
do you think
you got
about
thoughts
that?
on that?
I mean, you
got-
don't want a shoe that's like super narrow. Like I think a lot of training shoes and running shoes are way too narrow, where they're just crowding your toes. But I think the exaggerated wide toe box, I don't think is for everybody because a lot of people have, I would say, more narrow feet because of the shoes that are put out today. But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
But going back to orthotics, I mean, I think a lot of podiatrists still will prescribe them like first time seeing every patient. And the whole purpose of orthotics, there is a purpose for them. It's to offload any tendon or ligament so that the area that is injured is not being put on so much stress. But you're really only supposed to be in there for 2, maybe 3 months max.
I see.
Like that's the max timeline that I would have anybody in an orthotic in order to give that area some time to heal.
Some relief.
Right. So you have these people that are in orthotics for years and years. I had a patient recently who ran the New York City half. She was having knee pain, and it came up during the evaluation that she had orthotics in her shoes. And I asked her for how long, and she said since high school.
Oh my goodness, sorry.
And this is somebody who is probably in her 40s.
So does that weaken the feet then?
I wouldn't say weaken the feet, but if and she didn't get it because she was injured in high school. It was just she went to a doctor or podiatrist of some sort, and they put her in orthotics, and she's been in them ever since. So the first thing that I educated her on is we're going to wean you off of these orthotics. You don't have anything going on with your feet. You have a very good gait pattern in terms of heel strike and toe off. You don't have anything that would give me reason to keep you in these at all. And within the first week, she was like, my feet feel so much better.
Oh, wow. How old is she?
I want to say she's in her 40s.
Wow.
And she got a PR in her half marathon.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
After seeing you.
yes,
Wow.
I think I know who this is.
I think you do too.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I've spent more energy and time weaning people off of orthotics in the last 10 years than actually like working with their orthotic.
How do you wean someone off orthotics?
Sometimes you just go take it out. Or it's most of the time it's that. It's just take it out, put the old insoles in, make sure you tie your shoelaces good, and that's it. And a lot of times that's all it takes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like weaning off like crutches, where you're just kind of trying to get them out of the orthotics a couple hours a day, and then increasing that over time to the point where they don't feel like they have any pain without the orthotics.
So her pain traveled up to her knee because of her orthotics?
Not necessarily because of orthotics. It was just injury that she got when she was ramping up her training.
I see.
But I'm sure the orthotics probably didn't help.
But there is a time and a place, right?
Right.
And in the extreme situations and certain situations, the patient will definitely need and would benefit from the use of orthotics. But I'd say most of the population, unfortunately, have been kind of duped into buying these things. Yeah.
When Eric and I spent a little bit of time in Hawaii, we were hanging out with a lot of locals, and they do everything barefoot. And they went hiking, right? And to this, it's called the Blue Hole. And for people who are hiking, they usually get spikes on their shoes in order to grip the floor. But the locals just went barefoot. I was like, what? Eric was like,
Again, adaptation. They're used to that. They do it all day.
yeah.
And they got a lot of callus too.
And then we were in a riverbed, and then they're stepping on stones, and all the Jersey people were like, ow, 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 ow.
With their shoes on? They're saying
No, not with their shoes
Oh,
on.
okay,
Our feet are soft
Right.
Yes.
So the Jersey people took their shoes off
to go into the
To go
water.
into- okay,
and
okay.
then all the locals were just like da da da
it's
da,
easy,
running
yeah.
on those rocks.
Yeah, and that's the key, right there with the barefoot movement is that, a lot of times Western and this part of the country and this world where it's as soon as you're able to even, put on shoes, they put on shoes on
Right.
babies, right? And so even before they're walking, they're used to having shoes on their feet, right? And I think in some of these other countries and regions of U.S., like Hawaii, where they're just happy and outdoorsy and whatever. They don't need to wear, you know, shoes. Here in Jersey, pretty sure every kid gets a pair of shoes before they're actually even walking. And so the adaptation is that our adaptation is shoes. And when you try to like transition in later in life with the whole barefoot running movement, a lot of people are incurring stress fractures and injuries to the, you know, tendinopathies as well as ligament injuries to the feet because
They're not transitioned or
no,
adapted.
and not only in transition, to some extent, at some point, I would even go as far as to say it's too late to even adapt or transition.
So for Brooks, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do barefoot? Are we gonna do minimalist shoe? What are we gonna do?
I mean,
I'd say he's more of a shoe guy.
yeah, he's definitely more of a shoe guy.
Especially in our environment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it really has a lot to do with the environment. Like you know, we're walking on pavement, we're walking on concrete, like we're not going to be going to stores barefoot. Like that's just the society that we live in, you know, in the West is everyone's in shoes.
Yeah, they do have like wider toe box shoes, like less of a, like more of a zero drop, like so which I put my kids in. But then for sports, they need to be in like the actual running shoe,
Right.
Because, yeah, they're not like gonna be keeping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you bought your kids some wide toe box
Yeah,
shoes,
which
right?
they love. Like they feel comfortable in it. I mean, at home we don't wear shoes, so they're pretty much barefoot all the time. So when they're outdoors, you just want some protection. But then for sports, they need their shoes.
Are any of your kids flat-footed?
I can't tell. Maybe high arches, because I have high arches. I feel like I don't know.
What about
Yeah.
you guys? Anyone flat-footed in your family?
I mean, I'd say more of the population is considered flatter. You know, I don't know if it's categorized flat feet. Yeah. A lot of great athletes are flat-footed
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna
really?
say that.
Yeah.
A lot of sprinters are flat-footed. Basketball players flat-footed. I wonder if there's a correlation.
How do we even know this?
I just
I
know
would,
things.
I would,
How do we know like what their feet type are? Is
I
it
don't know,
like
I just-
common
but I would
knowledge?
go as far as to say that I think there's potentially more issues and problems associated with the high arch
That's me.
category,
Yeah.
than necessarily flat-footed people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are there any things that we can give as application for people who are starting to run in terms of strength and mobility? Best exercises to put their best foot forward for running? Anyone get that? Get
Wait,
it?
can you repeat that?
Any exercises so that they can put their best foot forward when for running? You don't get it.
I mean, I would say the biggest thing is like, you know, find a program that is going to be putting you on a path to success in terms of progression. Don't just go out and run till you feel like stopping, right? On top of that, you know, like we said earlier in the program, you know, you should be supplementing your running with some form of strength training. And obviously training for the sport of running is going to look a lot differently than training for like a power lifter or Olympic lifter or soccer player, basketball. You know, running is a unilateral sport. You're on one leg. So you should be doing a lot of unilateral work. And you should be targeting the muscles that are going to be worked in running. So your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, your anterior tib, the muscle on the front of your shin, your calves, your foot muscles, upper body, obviously, you know, just to kind of stay proportionate. But, you know, strength training for a runner is going to look very differently than somebody who isn't a runner.
I'd say the other important thing to remember for runners is just not going right into that, like your normal pace run, right? Is that you got to kind of gradually go into that and transition into that and be progressive about it.
I feel like that's the hardest part.
It is.
Is this advice that you follow yourself?
Not really.
That's what I figured.
But I feel like I'm a lot more, maybe not as much anymore, but I used to be more of the durable type of human, but I kind of handle some of that stuff in the volume. But I'm realizing, like for instance, yesterday, Ryan and I were doing one of the HYROX workouts, and I tweaked my hamstring a little bit during the treadmill run. So that threw me off a little bit. But I realized yesterday, I'm like, you know, we really gotta I'm gonna make sure that we're gonna pretty much
Warm
force
up.
all the warm-ups.
No.
You guys are like, I think
Selfishly,
when people work out with us and we do the staff workouts, the one thing they notice is, wait, these physical therapists don't warm up.
We don't warm up. We don't
They're
stretch.
like the worst.
Do as I
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
not as I do.
That's you know, you're trying to be mentally tough.
I mean, here's the thing with our workouts is like we're usually working at what, like 40 minutes on average, if
So
not
like
more.
round one.
Yeah. So to put a 5-10 minute warm up in and then a workout, like that's what we do for our classes and stuff. But we're on a tight schedule here.
Yeah. And for me, like, you know, I don't know if
It's just laziness. That's what it comes
no,
down to.
well, it's not only laziness, but for me, the warming up is definitely where I don't really whatever I skip over that. But the workouts itself, for me, I would say that I put myself through that not because I want to be very calculating with my programs, and I just don't. I think for me, workout right now when I train, it's mainly number one is for the mental part. Yeah, for me. Yeah, it's not. I'm not looking to get let's say stronger or bulkier or faster or that kind of stuff. I just want to get just mentally durable. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes it's not as calculating with my programs.
Okay.
Did you guys want to add anything else? I feel like we could talk a lot more about feet and running specific workouts, but maybe for another time.
You said unilateral, right? So like, that would be like lunges and like single leg stuff, right?
Yeah, single leg squats, lunges, RDLs, calf raises, even
Tib raises.
tib raises. Yeah.
Yeah. Shin splints is a big one. We could probably spend a whole episode on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just to finish up, if you guys have any running specific questions, please leave them in the comments.